Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on this very wintry, cold evening. I'm Janetta Lumia, District Director of Guidance, and by a show of hands, I wanted to know who has older children or siblings. Okay, so you're experts, so I'm gonna call on you one by one. You're gonna come up here, you're gonna present, and you're gonna talk about Finley and if you have a high schooler, you're going to talk about the high school and all that great stuff. So, no pressure. So, tonight we're going to give you a pretty concise, comprehensive, yet quick, presentation because I know you're busy and you want to go back to your warm homes, but we don't want to overwhelm you with so much information that you're like, now what? We want to make sure that you leave us, being informed and empowered. If you have any questions, we'll have dedicated time at the end so that you can either, raise those questions to us as in a group forum, or you can approach us individually with your specific questions. Some of these questions that you may have may or may not be answered. If we cannot answer because of, it depends on, your child's, like, let's say, concerns, etc., then that we can set a dedicated phone call that we can definitely chat. And so, welcome. So tonight's agenda. Let's see. Just let's do some introductions, and I'm welcoming you right now. So welcome. Tonight's event will be recorded and posted on the website as well as on the district's YouTube channel. These are the topics that we will be discussing. I will be introducing to our amazing principal and team in a few minutes. So what we're going to be discussing is our student support services, who they are, grades 7 and 8 units of study or a course selection process as well. I am all a proponent of, planning ahead, and I'm a parent of high schoolers, so we're gonna touch upon a little bit on high school level course offerings here at Finley. A scheduling process for grade 6, the role of the school counselor, which now, as you know, the title has changed and it used to be guidance counselor, and it's school counselor. Planning for the future, meaning throughout middle school, high school, and beyond. And as I said before, we're going to have a question and answer Q&A session. Bienvenidos a esos padres que hablan español. Tenemos ayuda también para traducción para usted, para que esté bien informado, y esta información será publicada en español por medio de la presentación que tenemos. And so our introduction, we have Mrs. Tracy Rothel, our principal. She is our principal of Finley. We have Mr. Kenneth Parm, who is not here at the moment, but he is our assistant principal. You have me, Janetta Lomia, Director of Guidance. Then we have a dean. Our dean is Amanda Schaefer. And then we have our amazing school counselors, Ruth Escobar. She is our elementary and intermediate school counselor. Some of you already have heard from her or have received communication. I see some students nodding. Some of you, if not all of you, already know Miss Escobar from, definitely meeting with you one-on-one kids, right? Or classroom presentations or assemblies. So she's been doing a great job expanding our school counseling program at the elementary and intermediate schools. We have Miss Lisani Batista. We have Mrs. Allison Logan. We have Miss Lauren Waldron, who is Mrs. Ram Logan's leave replacement. That was not planned, Ram Logan. So Mrs. Ram Logan is on leave for this year. So Miss Waldron is, doing a phenomenal job working with the students here at Finley. We also have Miss Idania Rivera, who is the neighborhood aide back, and then she's our outreach, and she helps us a lot with our parents. And so again, there are different student support services or PPS staff that are here at Finley Middle School. And so when it comes to school counselors, you're going to hear a little bit about the role, but the the career, the profession, the title of a school counselor has evolved over the past 20, 30 years. It used to be that you meet with your guidance counselor to discuss the future courses, career, and that's it. No. Now school counselors touch upon 3 domains of a child's life. That be academic, career and college readiness, and addressing social emotional needs and concerns. And so it is a very complex yet intricate and important person that you will need to touch base with. That's your go-to when it comes to setting up meetings with the counselor, with the team, with teachers, etc. And so we have also social workers. We have 2 social workers. We have Ms. Acosta and we have Ms. Guzman-Lewis, who is bilingual. And the social workers are dedicated to talk about matters that have to do with home life, a transition at home, maybe conflict resolution, and other different types of concerns and needs that the student and the family might be facing, but also the social worker as well as school counselors provide resources to families. And so the school psychologists here at Finley are Ms. De Benedetto, Ms. Navesca, and Ms. Andrea Becker. And so the school psychologists might provide one-to-one counseling, but they also mainly do a lot of the evaluation when a student is being screened and assessed for potential issues or concerns with regards to learning disability. And so that person will be part of that commission of special ed education process. Evaluation process. And so these are very important key players that you will be meeting as you come up to the middle school. The school counselor role, you'll see that there is a big difference as your child goes up to the grade levels, right? So your elementary intermediate counselor is going to be meeting with students on a more mass, talking to the mass level, like classroom presentations and assemblies, etc. And also doing some maybe tier 2 interventions, one-on-one meeting with students. However, at the middle school, there's more of the character education and the social emotional, addressing those needs, making sure that students are transitioning in, and then, in 8th grade, transitioning out into the high school. And in the high school, it gets really, really, really complex and comprehensive, where counselors will be meeting with students to address a myriad of needs. And they also push into classrooms. They also do some group work. So we're very proud and happy to have a very comprehensive plan and events here in our district. And so I will be leaving Mrs. Rathel to talk to you about the New York State Middle School Units of Study here at Finley, grades 7 and 8, and here she is.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I know this is the exciting part of the presentation. It's what do my kids take for 7th and 8th grade? And it is a little different than they have in the middle school in both STEM and Woodhull. So first of all, who are my STEM parents? All right, where are my Woodhull parents? All right, so we're all going to be Finley parents next year, so we're super excited about that. But we'll just talk about some of the different things that your kids will see when they come here. And you're going to make me talk into the mic, right? I can't. Oh, all right. So I'm not good with that. So the first thing that we have is English, ELA, as we call it. Both years, 7th and 8th grade, your students will be taking an English class. From there, they will also be taking social studies in 7th and 8th grade. We have a social studies class at both times. Then we move into science. They will take science in 7th and in 8th grade. I'll talk in just a moment about an option when they get into 8th grade about a different science class that they can take. From there, they're going to take math. In 7th grade, we have math for what we call a 1.5 course study, which means in 7th grade, every day they'll have math, and every other day they'll have math for 2 periods. So that way we have a little bit more math in 7th grade, and that's because in 8th grade, all of our students take algebra. And in that case, you'll take one period of algebra, or you could have 1.5 or an every other day of algebra in 8th grade, depending on your level, depending on your ability, and depending on the needs of kids. But those are options. So in math, it's a little different for some of your kids that might be older. That math has changed in the way that we present it. You're also going to then have technology. So technology comes in a couple different ways. We have a tech class in 7th grade with coding and computers, and in 8th grade, we have a technology class where kids are actually building working tools. For those of us that are a little older, it was called SHOP. But yeah, so we have those type of things where they're looking at it, and that is half a year in 7th grade and half a year in 8th grade. In 7th grade also, we do have a computer science course, which the kids have for a half a year, which they'll be learning more coding in there, a lot of computer and digital citizenship, and using the internet correctly, because as we know that now computers are taking over everything, so it's important that the students understand the proper ways to use our computers. And from there, I'm just looking, family and consumer science. It's a really fancy name for home ec. So again, dating myself, there is some cooking that goes on in 7th grade. Students take that. When they move into 8th grade, we really focus on a lot of careers, career readiness, job applications, getting your working papers for some kids, understanding how to get babysitting jobs, things like that. So it's really moving towards financial planning, making good choices, which you'll do in 8th grade. But in 7th grade, we do go back to that. We're cooking and we're learning those basic things. And make sure they cook you a meal. That's a big part. Then we have our physical education. You'll have that every other day, both 7th and 8th, continuously through the year. We then move into health. We have an 8th grade health for half a year. Students will have health. We also then have our arts, which if you are in 7th grade, you get art every single, you get half a year. Our 7th grade art. In 8th grade, you have an opportunity to go into art. Again, a high school level course. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we only have art offered in 7th grade. We also have music. Every 7th grader is required to take a music in 7th grade. 8th grade, it's an elective. You don't have to take it in 8th grade, but many of our performing classes do continue. Our band, our orchestra, and chorus. I do know that you'll find out a little bit more about band, orchestra, and chorus, but a big thing, kids must choose one. They can't do both like they've been doing and going to chorus and band and chorus and orchestra. It's one or the other, which our music teachers are working on and making those selection for students based on what they're doing currently now. And then we'll finish with our world language. So our world language is a little bit different depending on, that's why I asked if you are STEM, if you're a Woodhull. If you are a STEM student, you're going to be making a language selection probably in the next couple of weeks. You'll decide which language your child will have here. If you're a Woodhull student, you've already had a year of language. You will continue with that same language into your 7th grade year. So that's kind of the difference depending on it, that the selection for you in Woodhull is already done. STEM students, you'll be making that selection before the end of the year and placed into a world language class at that point. Next slide. Okay, high school level courses. So a really cool thing here in middle school is when you get to 8th grade, you can start taking courses that give you credit to high school. Our big one is every single student is going to be able to get, I'm going to jump down to algebra. Every student in 8th grade will get a high school credit in algebra as long as they pass the regents and pass the class. So everyone has an opportunity to go into high school with at least one credit. If you on 8th grade would like to take an earth science class, you have excelled in your 7th grade science, it's an area that you really want, you can then go into what we call earth science, which is also a regents level course. Students then go to class that's a 1.5 class period, which is a little bit more challenging than a regular 8th grade science class. You'll take a regents class, you'll take a regents test, and if you pass the class, you again can go in with credits. Also from there, our art class. If you feel that art is your area, you love it, and you go in and you can create a portfolio, you can be chosen for what we call studio and art, which then those kids will then have a year of an art class, which they will get credit in high school. And our final one is our world language. If you are a Woodhull student or a dual language student, you will then have a credit if you take those classes up to Spanish 1, French 1, all of those, you will go into the high school with your language credit already completed. So that's a big thing to make sure you guys understand that we have our languages from there. I think that's all we have for there. So at that point, I think I'm passing it off to Miss Escobar. Is that correct? It's all yours.
I have to click. I think it was one. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Escobar. I'm the school counselor for the elementary and intermediate. So I don't think I need this mic. I did? Okay, I do need it. So, what's going to take place in the next couple of months to prepare your students to go into Finley? Pretty much over this weekend, the Jack Abrams parents will be receiving the language selection forms through Miss Morrow, the principal. For Woodhull parents, for our grade 6 students, we are giving you the option if you do decide that the language you were taking this year was not the language you wanted to do. It is not advised, but we do give you that option to change moving to 7th grade. We do ideally want our students to stay with the language they selected back in 5th grade for Woodhull, but for our Jack Abrams students, you're selecting a brand new language. It's going to be, I know that we had a visit from our Latin club that visited our classroom to try to expose our students to some of the language that they might see once they get to the middle school. From that, the language selections are going to be due middle of February. We're giving parents at least like 3 or so weeks to give you some time to speak to your child, speak to them, and seeing what they want to select for the next year. After that, once selections are in, I'm having parents select with their students, but I'm also having students select in the classrooms. By that, giving them some ownership and wanting to feel out what they want to do and also seeing the parent side. If we do see that some of the selections might be different, I will contact you and seeing where we can come into an agreement to try to figure out what we can do for 7th grade. The goal is to make sure that you're involved and so are the students, and I'm involved in helping that process in the selection. Because I don't want it to come September and it's like, I hate this language. I don't want to do this language. I want to make sure that we're deciding based as a whole. From that, we're going to have individual meetings confirming your language, confirming your music courses, and overall confirming to seeing how you're doing academically. From there, we have returned to starting a program in where our students visit Finley, which happens in the springtime after all the state testing happens. So we try to get them familiar, meet the principal, meet the school counselor, meet the team that's going to be welcome them in September. After that, it is August. They are now getting ready to come into middle school. And that's truly really the next couple of months for them. We do have Frost Valley coming up for them in March, so it might be very difficult to kind of schedule all of them at once, but we'll do the best we can to make sure that we see all the students, which I will. However, that's pretty much the summary of what we're going to be doing next. Obviously, if you do have questions in preparing your child to transition to 7th grade, I am here for you to support you and support your child. So thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ms. Batista. I'm one of the counselors here at Finley Middle School. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the role of the counselor. So as counselors, we assist students individually, in small groups, in large groups when we push into the classroom. And one of the things that we do with our students is set SMART goals. So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of SMART goals, but it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So we do these SMART goals with each of our students in 7th and 8th grade, and that's how we're able to build relationships with them. We meet every single one of our 7th graders to do what's called the individual progress review. We talk about their goals, we talk about their grades, and we just talk about their social emotional skills as well. Another one of the ways that we assist students is to recognize and utilize academic strengths so that they can make effective decisions. So in this, we basically, when we meet with students individually and we're talking about their goal, we're also talking about what kind of student they are, what kind of learner they are. Are they a visual learner? Are they an auditory learner? So that way they can advocate for their needs in the classroom. And so that way when they get to the high school, they understand what kind of things benefit them, what kind of things are their drawbacks, and so they can have a better understanding of who they are holistically. And then the next thing that we do is we explore interest, abilities, and research careers in colleges. So in 7th and 8th grade, we push into the classroom to do some large classroom lessons on Naviance. So that is a program that is available to all of our students here in Huntington. And Naviance is a really handy tool where students can learn about different careers, different military options, different colleges. They will use it a lot more in the high school because that's where they can do virtual tours when they start applying for colleges in 12th grade, but we introduce them to Naviance in 7th grade so that they can get a sense of what kind of career am I interested? What are my strengths? There's also personality tests, different kind of inventories for the students to do. They do that in the FACS class, but we introduce them to Naviance starting in Finley.
evening. My name is Miss Waldron. I'm filling in for Mrs. Ram Logan while she's out for the rest of the year. So some other ways that the school counselor supports our students is enhancing their independence and responsibility. So that can look like encouraging students to attend extra help, making sure that they have the resources they need to succeed, and taking that ownership and responsibility, being as a middle school student, reaching out to their teachers and letting us know what we can support them with, but also understanding their responsibilities as well. Addressing their social and emotional and relationship concerns, so students are able to come down to the counseling office and they can meet with their school counselor. We help them through friendship struggles, any issues that they report to us, we're going to work through with them and make sure that we alert their teachers if there's anything that they need support with, and also keeping you informed as well. In addition to that, recognizing and utilizing their academic strengths so they can make effective decisions. Thank you.
How are you all? I'm Allison Logan. I am one of the other school counselors here. So part of what we do also, like our other counselors alluded to, is Naviance, and that is kind of the beginning stages of helping them understand the college and career readiness piece. When we do go into the classrooms, we do help them kind of get an idea of what they like, maybe what they don't like, and through their time here, meeting with them individually, which we will do at the very least, 1 or 2 times in 7th and 8th grade. It's typically a lot more than that. But we do help them to decide on the courses that they will begin to take as well in 9th grade. So that's something we will begin to talk about in the beginning stages of 8th grade as well. And so we sort of tie that into Naviance. That's another way that they can kind of decide on the interests that they would like to pursue. And it's really the first time that they have an opportunity, an option to actually select classes themselves, just purely based on interest. So students are registered in high school level courses. They do earn credits towards their diploma. The courses are also listed on their high school transcript. So these classes would be, like Ms. Rathel mentioned, our studio and art class, our earth science class, typically a language class, and our algebra class. So all of those, if filled to completion and passed, they will earn credit towards their high school diploma. So students do need to know that, of course, everything counts in 7th and 8th grade, but 8th grade really is the preparation for high school, and what they do really does matter. Their grades matter, their finals matter, the Regent scores matter, because it's all going on their high school transcript. So we do try to help them to understand that once they get here, there is kind of a newfound sense of accountability and responsibility that they haven't necessarily had to have had at the 6th grade level. So ways that we try to help them learn about that, and that you can also help support us, is we usually recommend that students check their portal at least once a week, even with a parent, just so that everyone kind of knows what's going on. We highly encourage using the agenda book, beginning to advocate for themselves and talk to their teachers. And I'd say by 8th grade, a lot of them do a good job of coming down to guidance and asking us for help when they have a problem, or needing us to kind of help advocate for them on their behalf to a teacher. Some of the career exploration programs are provided in grade 7 through our Naviance platform. We discussed that. Dual language students continue in their language throughout high school. New this year, course final grades and credit from grade 7, as well as the Checkpoint B exam, will appear on the student's high school transcript. So Checkpoint A and B is what used to be called the old Regents exam, and now it's kind of like a part 1 and part 2. That's it.
Before we go into the Q&A session, I also want to recognize and welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Christian Bowen. So thank you so much for being here and for your support. So any questions with regards to what has been discussed tonight? I mean, definitely we can continue our conversation, via phone call, email. I'm always available day and night. Some of you might know that already, especially if you're parents of AP students. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is the time to do so. That would be a course offering that is offered, available at the 9th grade level and beyond. So we do have about I would say 20, about 26, 28 classes, AP level courses offered at the high school. And every year we had our first workshop, AP 101 workshop, open to our 8th through 11th grade parents to explore what are the options, when it comes to AP classes and earning college credits, and what are the benefits of taking advanced placement courses. But yeah, we do offer those. And so, as we are preparing students in 7th and 8th grade, we're trying to expose them to rigorous curriculum and prepare them so that when they go to the high school that they're ready to take honors and AP classes. So I believe so. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we don't have necessarily the search program anymore. However, in both 7th and 8th grade, we do offer enrichment programs that are unfortunately during their lunch periods, but a lot of kids like that. In 7th grade, students are able to do a STEM enrichment program, which they'll then work with a science teacher in all of those areas for their STEM level, and they actually can do competitions. And then what we do in 8th grade is we offer an enrichment in social studies, where then that's the humanities part of it, participation in World History Day, and all of things like that. So those are two of our enrichment programs that we have for all students in both 7th and 8th grade by choice. Yeah, so team sports and all of that. What will happen is you guys in 7th grade, when you are officially Finley coming here in the beginning of the year, we will have an orientation. We will go over all of that, go over through all of the clubs, the sports, and everything from there. A big thing to know, though, is students do have to have physicals. They have to sign up, and they have to try out because we do have a lot of kids that come out for the different sports. But we have a bunch of different sports throughout the year, and we're excited to have our kids start that. So that's something that they like to do with the more organized sports that are here. And Mrs. Logan like to hop in and remind them one more thing she missed.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that typically the last Thursday in August, I think it is, the orientation that we have for our 7th graders. So that's another opportunity for our students to come in. At that point in time, they'll have a copy of their schedule online. They can actually walk through the building. They can fiddle with the locker, kind of just ease any kind of concerns that they have, or some of the concerns they have, the week before school. So that's another event that I just wanted to mention.
That's correct. So in 8th grade now, what we used to have is we'd have Math 8 and we'd have Algebra, so you could possibly take it to get a Regents credit. Now in 8th grade, the only thing that is offered is Algebra. However, we do offer support to make sure that any students that are maybe struggling, it's not their best course, we will give them support so that they'll be able to pass the test and move on and get an algebra credit. We do that so that opens up the opportunity for not only more math classes as the kids move up into the high school, but it frees up their schedule to take more elective classes, AP classes, or other activities that are up there, so that those Regents, 4 credits of high school can be taken here at Finley, so that those are 4 classes that you've now just opened up and that you can take in high school that are more elective based in an area that you like or an area to explore, or higher level to get yourself college credits. That is correct. We've only done it now 2 years, so it's gone from there. It's definitely something that we've been working on, and we see a lot of kids improving, and we now have a more curriculum that's rigorous based, and now that the Regents are kind of back, COVID was a little bit of a struggle, but no, we see our kids doing very well. We give them the support, and the teachers are well aware of what the needs are, and our 7th grade teachers actually help with our 8th grade teachers to help those get the kids ready for that test. And our 6th grade teachers are doing a couple different units also, knowing when they come to 7th grade that they're doing it. So we're building block on it. So it seems to have success at this point. Of course, not every kid's going to be a math star, but we're going to give them every support possible that they're going to have success here. Yes, so that's actually a newer platform, but the teachers are using Parent Square a lot more. They'll send out messages about upcoming events, upcoming tests, assignments, and they can actually individually reach out to you through email. I know a lot of parents have been a lot of teachers have done that to get in touch with parents. So Parent Square is very popular and used here. I use it every Sunday night, just like I know Miss Morrow and I think Miss Campbell send out the Sunday night email. I do the same thing here, updating you on events that are happening in the school each week. So we'll be up here on the stage. So if any of you want to come up and ask a personal question, a question you don't want to have for the whole audience, you can feel free. If there are no other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. Please get home safely, stay warm, and it's not going to snow tomorrow, right? Okay, have a great afternoon. Have a great evening.